Welcome, everyone. I'm Sue Barber, author, former IT director for a Fortune 500 company, turned executive coach, and this is the Visibility Factor podcast, where we explore how to raise your visibility and play bigger at work and in life. We'll explore key topics and welcome guests that help you shift your thinking about yourself so you can see new possibilities for your leadership. I'm on a mission to create a visibility movement for leaders to show their value and be seen for their true talent. Are you ready to take the next step towards a higher level of visibility for yourself? Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Visibility Factor podcast. This is Sue Barber, your host. Today, I want to talk about something that surprises a lot of high-performing leaders. They believe if they're doing exceptional work, someone's going to notice. And they believe eventually they'll get promoted. They'll be invited into bigger conversations. Someone's going to recognize that they're ready for more. But that's just not how it works. And I had to learn that the hard way. And that's why I wrote both of my books, because I want people to recognize that organizations don't make decisions based on only hard work. Because the reality is performance and perception are not the same thing. And understanding that distinction may completely change how you think about your career and accelerate what you want out of your career and the progress you can make. This isn't about office politics or becoming the loudest person in the room, but it's understanding how organizations make decisions about who they promote, who gets the opportunities, and how they make those decisions when you're not in the room. So let's talk about the three ideas around this and how you can think about it for yourself. Organizations make decisions with incomplete information. Now, this might be hard to hear because you think, well, don't they want all the facts? Don't they need all the information? Of course, it would be nice if that was true, but they don't. Because executives are always thinking about the people in their organizations, who's ready for the next thing, who is a high potential, who's a high performer. And they're not intentionally trying to look over the people who are talented, but they're making the decision based on the information that they have in front of them or that they've been given. So they think about what they've personally observed, what trusted leaders have told them, the business results that they can see, who consistently demonstrates enterprise thinking, so big picture thinking, more strategic level thinking, who appears ready for greater responsibility, and who they've seen influence beyond their own team. So doing something more broadly to support the organization. So every succession discussion, every talent review, every promotion decision is based on whatever information they have right then. It's not based on the perfect information. It's based on available information. So that means the question isn't, am I doing good work? The better question is, do the people making decisions understand the value I create? Just slow down and think about that question for yourself. Do the people making decisions understand the value I create? It's the whole reason the workbook was created, was to help people understand how to talk about their value and to demonstrate that. Because incomplete information doesn't necessarily produce bad decisions. It produces decisions based on whatever evidence is available. And sometimes your best work isn't visible enough for people to see that. And so it doesn't become part of the evidence that they use. Are you getting enough visibility for your work and for what you do? Because organizations aren't promoting potential that they can't recognize or see. The second focus area is leadership creates value that isn't always visible. One of the biggest shifts in leadership happens as you move into more senior roles because leadership has to create value that isn't always visible. Let's go back to your early career time frame. You had a lot of accomplishments. They were pretty obvious. They were easy to see. You finished projects. You solved problems. You hit deadlines. You increased revenue. You reduced costs. People can see those tangible results. But leadership changes the nature of your contribution. Now your value looks different. It's not a to-do list anymore. It's a to-think list, a to-strategize list, a to-plan list. All of those things become much more important because you're now creating value on how you make decisions, influencing without authority, aligning stakeholders, developing future leaders, connecting teams, anticipating risks, improving collaboration, helping others succeed, and thinking strategically instead of tactically. These are really, really valuable contributions, but it's not easy to just say that they're done. They're harder to see. There's no dashboard that captures whether or not someone trusts you or not. There's no spreadsheet that measures your influence. There's no project plan that shows that you're a strategic thinker. And many of the things organizations value most about senior leaders are actually the hardest things to observe. So that's where there is something that I call a perception gap begins. So let's just talk about this for a second. If decision makers don't understand the thinking behind your leadership, they can't fully appreciate the impact that you can bring. So helping others understand your contribution isn't self-promotion. It's leadership communication. You're providing context that helps other people make better decisions about your future. Just like you are sharing information when you're in a meeting that helps a leader make better decisions for a project or a program. It's the same thing. But now we're talking about your career and who you are and how you're perceived. So now that you understand what perception gap is, understand that it's your responsibility to close that gap. Now, this might be the hardest part because it's easy to believe that they should just know what I'm doing. My work speaks for itself. If people paid attention, they'd see what I'm doing. Maybe, but maybe not. Because leadership requires that you take ownership of what you can influence, what you can control, not the things that you can't control. So instead of saying people don't recognize my value, ask yourself, have I made my leadership visible in ways that help other people understand my impact? Value and impact are like the core tenets of what's in the workbook at all times. How am I talking about my success? How am I talking about my results? How am I making sure that people understand what my team is doing, what I'm doing? All of those things are much more strategic than people give them credit for. Sometimes we're very good at telling what we're doing, but we're not always good at showing it. The show part is one of the most important pieces here. So that question that I just asked, have I made my leadership visible in ways that help others understand my impact, changes everything. It helps you operate from a different place. It shifts you from frustration to ownership, from waiting to leading. There are two actions that I think every leader should focus on first: creating value. Continue doing exceptional work, deliver results, lead people well, think strategically. Are you doing those things? Just do a little check-in with yourself and say, am I doing these things or not? The second one is helping other people understand the value that you are creating. You can do this in various ways. Here are just a few examples. Sharing lessons learned, explaining the business impact that you're making, connecting your work to organizational priorities, talking about outcomes, not activities. Communicate the why behind your decisions. All of these things are essential, but creating value drives performance. Communicating value creates opportunity. I'm going to say that again because I think it's important that you hear it. Creating value drives performance. Communicating value creates opportunity. That's how trust grows. That's how influence expands. And that's how leadership readiness becomes visible to the people who are making decisions about your future career. The perception gap is simply the distance between the leadership value you create and the leadership value other people recognize and understand. One of the biggest barriers to developing future leaders isn't capability. It's that gap. It's the perception gap. Many exceptional leaders remain overlooked, not because they lack potential, but because the people making decisions don't have the complete picture. So here's the challenge. Ask yourself these three questions. What leadership value am I creating today that other people have not seen? Who are the decision makers that need a clear understanding of my impact? And what conversations could I have that help connect my work to the broader goals of the organization? Performance earns credibility. That's what happens to you when you are just getting started in your career. Your performance helps you get noticed. Readiness earns promotions, though. You have to demonstrate your readiness. And strategic visibility helps decision makers recognize that readiness. That's where you're answering those questions and demonstrating to other people the value that you're providing and the impact that you're making. Remember, visibility isn't about being louder, even though some people might think that it is. Visibility is about making your leadership easier to understand. Because when organizations have better information, they make better leadership decisions. If this is an episode that you think will resonate for other people, please share it with them. I want as many people as possible to be able to demonstrate the value and impact that they're making so that they can get the opportunities that they deserve. Thanks so much for joining today on the Visibility Factor podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for listening to the Visibility Factor podcast. Remember that visibility starts with small steps that are intentional and consistent each day. Be bold, be visible, be the leader you were meant to be. Find us and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, which are highlighted in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Visibility Factor Podcast.